Grace and peace, friends. I earlier gave a speech at the St. Charles AME Zion Church for Martin Luther King Day, and there are some technical difficulties, and my talk got interrupted, and I wanted to do it again without all the stuff and share this message with you that is dear to my heart, that I think speaks to the situation we find ourselves in, lessons we can learn, ways forward and through these difficult and trying times. So I'll get right into it. My brothers and my sisters, over the course of these past several months, we've all felt and we've all struggled under the collective weight of this pandemic. This novel virus, as it has been described, has altered the landscape of our nation and indeed our world in some rather dramatic ways, affecting how we live and move and have our being, upsetting the norms. We have donned masks. Some of us have not seen relatives in quite some time. We social distance. We elbow bump. We sign to one another. Some of us have grown accustomed to working at home. Others have lost jobs. Our children are educated online. And those who do attend school have to learn through plexiglass barriers. We've waited in long lines at grocery stores, and we've hoarded toilet paper and hand sanitizer. We've waited on even longer lines to get tested for the virus. Millions of dollars have been spent and resources dedicated towards curative remedies. Our government initiated Operation Warp Speed, resulting in a variety of vaccines available on the market. Massive distribution centers have been set up. Our newly elected president, who shall be sworn in a few days, has vowed to dedicate the might and the weight of our government to ending this pandemic. I've seen in the local setting, signs erecting to keep our distance and so on, and all these things we've done, all these changes we've made in response to the virus. And yet, as the saying goes, the more things change, the more they stay the same. Which is to say that one virus will eventually go away. The masks will come off, kids will be back in school, life will normalize, and yet will anything really change as far as the moral and spiritual health of our nation is concerned? Especially for those of us who still wear the mask that grins and lies. The poor, the marginalized and dispossessed. What does the new normal look like for us and for them? 60 years ago, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. accurately diagnosed this nation as suffering from a spiritual, moral illness, one that if left untreated would be terminal. And from what we have seen from the time of his tragic death on that balcony to this present day, America continues to suffer from this deadly virus of white supremacy and systemic racism. From Charlottesville to Minneapolis to the states of the nation's capital, from George Floyd to Breonna Taylor to our very own Tina Davis here in Rockland County to the Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick, the disease is spreading and mutating at an alarming rate. The fever of hatred, warping minds and hardening hearts and darkening and clouding vision, blinding and deafening people to reason and truth. Indeed, watching the scenes from the nation's capital reminded me of a dystopic zombie movie, where brain-dead, infected masses devour everything in sight. Indeed, like the biblical plagues of old, which besieged the Pharaoh and the Egyptians because of his refusal to free the oppressed Israelites, because of his refusal to change. COVID-19, this seemingly apocalyptic, biblical-like virus, seems to have spiritual and moral implications as well. as it has shown us, it has uncovered for us much about ourselves, about our nation, and our health. This virus has uncovered and revealed the severity, the depth, and the breadth of our nation's true and lasting illness. Over the past several months, we have seen rank disparities between race and class. African Americans have died at higher rates than their white counterparts, due in large part to pre-existing conditions such as heart disease, obesity, and diabetes, which are caused in part by limited access to affordable and quality health care. The lack of access to quality, nutritious foods. As one Baltimore politician put it, having a vaccine is a short-term solution. But having grocery stores like a Trader Joe's or a Whole Foods invest and move into a black and brown community will go further in promoting and maintaining health. In like manner, Dr. Susan Moore, the African-American doctor who died of COVID-19 complications, she, in her last moments, testified visually to the reality and the ramifications of inherent racism and bias in our healthcare systems, where African Americans tend to get subpar treatment, a system where black mothers are more likely to die in childbirth than their white counterparts, where the African American infant mortality rate is 2.2 times higher than those of non-Hispanic whites. Since 2001, our nation has spent $4 trillion to wage war, yet we cannot provide, or dare I say the scandalous thing, provide free health care for the most vulnerable among us. In other words, as a nation, we spend more and invest more in death than we do in life. There is a sickness in our land. Moreover, this virus has revealed to us anew the disparities in education. We're poor and working poor. Families and parents cannot afford to keep their kids home because they have to work. Or they cannot afford computers needed for online instruction. At present, there's a growing number of black, brown, and white people who are food insecure, who live under the threat of being evicted from their homes. And although we have hailed as essential grocery store workers, cashiers, and delivery people, the sad fact remains that many still are not paid a living wage. And when all is said and done, will they still be regarded as essential? Or when we go back to normal, will they be discarded, relegated to the bottom of the social totem pole? There are 40 million Americans, our brothers and our sisters, children of God, who live in poverty in the United States. 2.6 million of them die each year from poverty. 120 die a day from drug overdoses. And yet we don't hear much about this on the news. There are no daily updates accompanied by ominous music and eye-catching graphics or daily tallies of the deceased. And it should be noted that somehow, with all of this going on, Wall Street continues to soar. The rich continue to get richer and the poor continue to get poorer. Indeed, all of the aforementioned are symptoms of the spiritual and moral plague that has infected hearts, minds, and souls, individually and collectively in this land. Oh, my brothers and sisters, we are sick. And if this illness is left untreated, as Martin Luther King Jr. said, it will be terminal. If, like that Pharaoh of old, if we remain stubborn and stiff-necked in the face of the plagues of white supremacy and the systemic racism and all that it engenders, if we fail to heed the prophet's call to let my people go, if we fail to change, then indeed the horse and the rider shall perish in the sea. If we fail to heed Martin's call to live together as brothers and sisters, then we shall indeed perish from the face of the earth as fools. So where do we go from here? What is the cure to this American virus? Well, the answer is simple as it is complex. Love. Love is the cure. Love is the vaccine. Love is the answer. Love is our hope. Love is the way forward and the way through these dark and trying times that will lead. Love is the way toward healing the nation's wounds, healing our systems, our institutions. Love is the only way, period. Love is the only way to expel the dual-headed demons that possess the nation's soul. So let me be clear that I'm talking about not a sentimental love, but I'm talking about agape, that Greek definition of the word which means unconditional sacrificial love. It's a love that pours itself out and empties itself for the sake of the other. It is a love that says, not what can you do for me, but a love that says, what can I do for you? It is a selfless love. It's a love that Holy Scripture tells us fires cannot burn it, nor floods or waters drown it. Darkness cannot shade or dim its light. Death, not even death, can overcome this agape love. This is the love that sparked and undergirded the civil rights movement. This is the love that sustained and inspired Martin and Megar, Malcolm and Rosa, Fannie Lou Hamer, Rabbi Joshua Heschel, as they confronted the evils of white supremacy and systemic racism in their day. This is the love that gave the late John Lewis the courage and the strength to get into that good trouble and march across that Edmund Pettus Bridge. And give others the same courage and strength to sit at those lunch counters, to vote, to stand up for what is right and just and good. This is the love that was at the heart of Martin's dream, his vision of a nation and a world governed not by hate, but by love. This is the love that gave Mamie Till Mobley the strength to open up that casket so the world could see what hatred can do to the human heart and soul. We saw it embodied in her son, Emmett Till. This is the love that gave those members, those surviving members of Mother AME Church in Charleston, the faith and the courage, the ability to forgive that white supremacist who killed 9 members of the parish family. And they revealed to us the power of what agape love can do. And despite what some have said, despite what some believe, or despite what some have told you, the Black Lives Matter is fueled by that love, a love for self, a love of our blackness, a love for this country and its promise and its possibility. This is the love that gave Stacey Abrams the power to overcome voter suppression in Georgia. This is the power of love that will change the world. Presiding Bishop Michael Curry of the Episcopal Church says, and he was also, as you may know him, the preacher from the Royal Wedding. In his book, The Way of Love, he says this. He says, quote, "When love is the way, the earth will be a sanctuary. When love is the way, we will lay our swords and our shields down by the riverside and study no war no more. When love is the way, there's plenty of room for all of God's children. When love is the way, we actually treat each other like we are actually family." Oh, my brothers and sisters, love is the cure. And so in these difficult and challenging and trying times, as we're hearing rumors of war, civil war, as we look to the hills, we wonder from where is our help to come. As we hear this clarion call, whom shall I send? Who will go for us? Who will champion love in the world? It is my hope and prayer on this Martin Luther King Jr. Day that, like Martin before us, we will step and say, "Here I am, Lord, send me. Here we are, Lord, send us. Use us. Use me as a vehicle and an instrument of love. Radical, agape love. It is my hope and prayer that we will use this most powerful tool, the most powerful force in the entire world and, dare I say, universe, that is more powerful than any bomb, bullet, gun, or riotous mob, that is more of a restorative and healing force than any pharmaceutical company can ever come up with. And let me tell you, the side effects of the love vaccine are wonderful. Lives change, laws change, communities change, darkness gives way to light, despair gives way to hope, death gives way to life. Oh, there is a balm, as we say, a balm in Gilead to heal our sin-sick soul. So I don't know about you. I don't want to go back to normal when COVID-19 is finally eradicated. The one thing I am sick of, like Fannie Lou Hamer said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I'm sick of the norm. I'm sick of the ills and the isms of this world that divide us and pit us against one another and estrange us and oppress others, that corrupt and destroy the people of God. No, I want to move forward into that dream. I want to move forward carrying the cure, those divine antibodies in my heart, in my soul. And I hope you do too. And therefore, let us take up that mantle of love today. Let us embrace it. Let us embody it. Let us share it and proclaim it and trust in its power to reconcile and heal and liberate and transform the world and the nation from the nightmare that it often is into God's dream of a world that is reconciled and liberated and united, equitable and compassionate, where the dignity of every human being is respected, where all lives truly matter and have worth, where everybody has a seat at the table, a voice and a vote. Let us move forward, my sisters and brothers, this new year, choosing love over hate, choosing peace over violent conflict, choosing reconciliation over vengeance, choosing truth over lies, choosing life over death. Let us love one another and love ourselves as we are marvelously made. Let us do this until we are truly healed, whole, equal, and free at last. Have a blessed Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Hold fast to hope. Hold fast to love. We will one day get to that promised land. Thank you.